Okay, so now we're in the basement. Mike shot some videos and took some pictures down here before, so you were able to see what it looked like before. They had framed this basement up to be living space. And it, you know, it's crazy to me. The ceiling height is low. It smells down here. You know, it smells like piss because I guess all the crews took, you know, used this for a piss stop or something, I don't know. But it also was taking in some water. So all of that old sheetrock, and if you look up here, you'll see it. All of that old sheetrock had mold on it because of the water and humidity and everything. It had nowhere to go. It couldn't dry out. So of course you're gonna start getting mold and stuff like that. I don't believe in taking old basements like this and finishing them unless you're gonna go all the way. And that's gonna be very, very expensive. You're gonna have to put in a water mitigation system, you know, sump pumps, and have a professional contractor company come out and do that. As a flipper, I don't really think it's worth your while for, especially a house like this that's, you know, probably 220, 230 at the end of the day. So for you to put 40, 50,000 down here, the value of the money is not there. But just to kind of tell you where we at with this house, so you can see how money will be made on this house and how I do things and how I've done it for the past 30 years and how we make money in this business. A good friend of mine that I'm helping out with this project, he paid right around 40,000 for the property. We're gonna put 70 into it, sell it for 220. So do the math. He'll make between 80 and $100,000. You'll take out, the reason why I say 80 to 100, because you're gonna have real estate fees, closing costs and stuff like that. But he should net somewhere around $80,000, which is a hell of a good profit, because we would have come into the property and done a renovation in about 45 days or less. He originally had the house rented out for a while, terrible tenants. I mean, they just destroyed the house and so on and so on. But, you know, I've been telling him, man, and he's been wanting to get into buying and flipping, but if you don't understand the game, of course, you know, you're gonna have some reservations about that. And understandably so. Because you could easily get into a project like this. Like when he first asked me to take a look at it, he said, well, I think I'm gonna put about 30,000 into it. And I said, you can double that right off the bat. I said, I can walk around and tell you 5 or 6 things, and that's gonna be 30,000. And so we talked here today, and we've been keeping a spreadsheet. And I said, you know, put the pencil to everything. Before you come in, do a complete scope of work, do a takeoff on all your material, and that's what I've been showing him how to do. Well, our final estimate is right around $70,000 in renovation costs. Whereas at first he thought it was gonna be about 30,000. So that's why it's important to do the math before you jump into it. You can't just go out and start a renovation and don't have a clue, or just think like, oh, this, you know, 30,000, a lot of money, that's gonna redo the whole house. Not even a little bit. So I'm gonna teach you all of that. I'm gonna give you the ins and outs of it, how to do a scope of work, what to look for, and that's why I'm using this project, for you to have something to go out for, because it is a complete gut and demo. Now, if you look over here, we got all this black mold going over here. It's getting some water down here. We need to put a sump pump going into the lowest corner. And to me right now, it looks like that corner will be the lowest point. So if water did come in, then that water, we'll cut a trench out going all the way around, then that water would divert to the sump pump and exit out the house, and not just sit in the basement and cause more mold and you know, harmful health hazards. But here, this is another thing. At some point, somebody came in and put these braces in, and they think that you know, this was the way that it's supposed to be done. This is something I would have done 25 years ago, not knowing and not understanding the business. But these braces definitely were done incorrectly, and they did it because this wall was starting to push in some, but these braces are not even big enough. I mean, these are, and they're too light to handle a job like that. So we're gonna have to take these out and redo them and come back in and do it the way that it should be done. And if you look at this wall, you'll see how it's, you know, it's bowing out, it's not plumb. Plumb means straight up and down and level. That wall doesn't look so bad. You look at this wall and you look at that wall, This one is not so bad. I mean, the house is 100 years old, so yeah, you're gonna have some settling, and that's to be expected in an older home. But this one is coming out some also. We may need to put a beam here, right in here. Down there, it doesn't look bad, but that's why I hire structural engineers. They'll come in, assess it, they're licensed, bond, and insurance. A lot of that, if something comes back later on to bite us in the ass, they would have the accountability to take on, if things are not like they should be done. So once we come in and we get it beamed up and we do the job, we'll come back, ask them to inspect it to make sure that we've done it based on their professional advice and knowledge. And so that's important, man. Get the right people in here to get it done. One thing I do see that I don't like, this right here. Our demo crews came in, all of this shit should have been gone. All of it. All these windows with all this old wood and sheetrock should have been gone. I should not have been able to point this out to you today because we've already had demolition done. This should have been gone. All this old 2x4s and all of this old sheetrock and everything here. But, that's all on the project manager because he wasn't managing the project like he should be. So he definitely missed some things. But one of my main things to save money in this business is don't have the same crew come back out twice because you're double hustling. That means you having somebody come in and do a job, but if you didn't manage and supervise them well, then you got to have them come back and then you paying them all over again for something that they should have done in the beginning. You can't fault them for something like that because we expected it before we paid them. The project manager expected it before we paid them, or should have. And so now, when they come back, they're gonna say, well, that wasn't part of our job, you expected and paid us. And that's true. Now, if it's an electrician or plumber and something they did, I would expect for them to come back if it wasn't done right. But it's also our job as the owner or project manager or flipper or what have you to inspect the work before you pay for it and make sure it's correct. And if you don't know what to look for, then you need to hire somebody, another third party, to come in and inspect it for you to make sure that it's done right. And after time, you'll know what to look for. So you'll be able to do a lot of your own inspections. But when it comes to like things, plumbing, electrical, and HVAC, hey man, pay somebody $100, $150, come out and do an inspection. If the job costs you $3,000, spending that 150 or whatever that inspection fee is by another professional in the same field is more than worth it. Trust me. So then, if you look over here, we got the HVAC, which is the furnace. And that stands for heating, ventilation, cooling, and air. And here they had a 90%er installed, but it's old. Mike, come on. So you remember when I told you we took out the chimney and we were gonna put in a 90%er, where at some point somebody did, and that's why you can see it's ducted going outside through the rim joist of the house to exhaust all the carbon monoxide and fumes. So this is already pretty much set up like that. Got a lot of good duct work in this house so we can tie into it. We'll replace this furnace, put in a new furnace, new AC, new A-coil, and so on. And then you'll see here too, they also had an electric hot water tank put in at some point, so we'll just switch it out and replace it also. This house here's your service coming into the house. This is your electrical panel. It was a 100 amp service. We're going to upgrade it to a 200 amp service so that it can carry the load of modern times, because now we live in a society where everything we have is plugged in, phones, computers, and so on. So you need a good electrical service coming into the house to carry those loads. You'll hate to be ironing or doing something else and then your power go out, you gotta keep coming down hitting a breaker. Well, when you have to do that, it's either a breaker bad in the panel or somebody did a bad job, or your panel is not big enough to carry the service for all the things that you're gonna have plugged in throughout the house. So that's gonna be important.